Hello there, lovely people. This is me, Ashley, here, sending my love to you from whatever reality I'm in today, whatever reality you happen to find yourself in. So it looks like I'm about to be able to go live again. I think it was 40 minutes left of the month, and the month resets on the 18th, so I'm able to go live. And in this particular live broadcast, I want to really be discussing what are we? What are we? And the reason why, one of the main reasons why I'm discussing this is because I was talking to Mandela, and she told me of a particularly disturbing personal change. Now, we all know that we live in bodies that aren't our own, that weren't the ones that we were in even yesterday, never mind. Hi. Yo, Brian. Hi. Vicky. Hi. And we know that we're not in the same body that we used to be in. We know that. But, we can see the cheekbones. I've discussed many times about my ever-changing face. Sometimes it looks really glowing and fresh and young, and other times I age 10 years, literally overnight. But the thing is that people have said that reality isn't changing. It only is to us, and that's true. Hi, Bit of Venom. Hi. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi. That reality isn't changing, we are, and we know that that's the case. We are sliding through different realities. We can literally be standing there in broad daylight talking to people, and reality, we will have shifted to a different reality. And it's the body situation that's what I'm really talking about at the minute, because it's like, what are we? Because we know that every time we move, our body changes. We've had loads of different changes in the body, and that's quite hard to live with. Actually looking at what the skeleton looks like now, looking at what the brain, just how the brain looks right now. Never mind the skeleton, the skull. You've got your kidneys under your ribs now. There are so many bodily changes, that it's a bit hard to keep up with. And so we know that, Richard Parker, he's now got brown hair. He never used to have brown hair. And the reason why, as I said, I'm doing this video is because Mandela was talking to me. I do hope to be able to talk to her about it at some point. Had found scratches on herself from a cat, with absolutely no recollection of the cat having done it. And that's freaked her out, and quite frankly, I completely understand why that would freak her out. Because it's one thing knowing that we've changed inside, it's one thing seeing our physical appearance change, but to actually have marks on your body that you don't have any recollection of your cat doing. And like she rightly says, a cat scratch is not something you can just ignore. They're like paper cuts. They're very, very they're sharp, they're nasty, they don't feel good. And so poor Anne is now well aware that she's in a body that was injured, but she wasn't in that body at the time. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Sometimes we're a bit blasé, we're a bit casual about the fact that we travel through realities, and that we go into our other bodies in other realities. We get a bit blasé about that, but we can't be, because if Anne is having injuries on her body that she doesn't remember having, that means clearly that the Anne that she is in that reality before she jumped into it had that happen to her. So what the hell are we? Anne, you're here. Do you want to come on here? Do you want to come on? Because if you do, I'm very happy to have you, because I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. So if you want to come on, please do. Yeah, you've got scars with no... Oh, Vicky, that's like terrible. You've got scars with no memory of how it happened. It's that kind of thing. You see, I'm lucky. I can account for all of my scars. I can account for them all so far. And like I said, it's a case of... It just makes me think, what are we? Because there are different, we're sliding into an ever-changing map world, like world, and talking about the map and how that changes. We're sliding into ever upgraded bodies. I mean, the skeleton at the minute, oh my God. You know how the elbow used to be called the humerus? Well, it isn't anymore. This part of the arm's called the humerus now. The radius and the ulna here, they twist on each other, and it's scary. Marriott, hi. But, and I get that, Marriott, what you're saying, that, you know, that we're merely made of dust. But the problem is that we are going to other realities, other worlds. I mean, none of us are on our original, in our original reality. So while we're busy slipping into other people, into a body, yeah, I can. I'll get it up for you so you can jump on whenever you're ready. But it just, the point is really is that it just it troubles my mind, quite frankly. It troubles my mind because it makes me think, well, first of all, like I've said before, where does the person that used to be in us, where did that person go? You know, the person that was me recently. I'm sorry about this. I'm actually trying to post a comment. Um, the person that I've just jumped into, my essence has just jumped into another version of me. Another version of me. This is not the version of me that you last spoke to. So where is the person, the me that was in here before I popped in it? And why? Why? Why is there worlds and worlds and worlds and worlds and worlds and worlds and worlds? Realities, realities, realities of Miss Amy, hi. Why are we this? Are we the same person in every bloody reality? Why do we? Why is there another us in a different reality? Because the thing that's really struck me is the fact that it's clear that we we are moving into different realities. It's not that our reality changes; it's that we're moving into other realities, realities that other people don't think have changed, because to them it's normal. The things that we find as changes to those people are normal in those specific realities. So how many of us are there? Do we all share? I mean, it's quite clear from what Anne said that it's not just the one person, it's many of us, all being an Ashley, an Anne, a Jay Young, a Miss Amy, a Vicky, over many, 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 many different worlds and realities. And it's through talking to each other, and it's through the differences. You see, we're attracted to each other because we're going through the same thing, and we share so much of the same reality. Magic C, hi. Yeah, I'm liking that there is only one consciousness, but clearly it's not quite that way, because if there was only one consciousness, then Anne would remember being scratched on the arm, and and Richard wouldn't have brown hair when he always had blonde hair, and Anne's grandma's eyes wouldn't have changed colour, because that's not consciousness, that's physical. So there are many, many different earths. We know there are. We're sliding through them all the time. And in all of those earths are versions of us. Versions of us. And so so what the frig are we? What are we? That we exist over many, many, many different realities, dimensions, timelines, whatever you want to call it. We're there. We look fairly similar, but not exactly, because our bodies have changed so much. So yeah, we are kind of in a matrix. But if it was just a simulation and just a matrix, then people that when we move into a reality and we see another change happen, all of the people in that reality wouldn't, that new reality that we go into, so something has changed in that reality, it's a new reality to us, but the people in that reality, it's been their normal reality. Like, for instance, and I keep going back to it, I'm an Orion of Arm original Earther, not this sham of a Orion spur shit thing that we're on at the minute. I'm an Orion original Earther. Many of you out there are Sagittarius Earthers. So even that, one's in Sagittarius, one's in Orion. We're trying to find people that come from the Perseus arm at the minute. So if you are from the Perseus arm, I'm going to make another video about that actually, because that, I mean, Richard Parker, he actually said that there are people from the Perseus arm of the Milky Way, and there surely should be if there's us from the original Orion arm, not spur, you guys from Sagittarius. We share so many similarities, but the differences are even between our worlds. Sagittarius was massive in comparison to my original Orion, which is also bigger than this that I'm on at the minute, whatever this is. So why are, like, again, the person that was in here, the consciousness that was in here, this body, before I jumped in it, where's that person gone? Why is that person, why does that person even exist? Why does another me exist? Why does another you exist? Why? I can't get my head around it. I'm trying so hard to understand it, and I cannot understand those things. There isn't just one of us. My consciousness is aware nothing changes for me. It's still me jumping into other worlds and other bodies of me. And yes, that sounds crazy as fuck, but we know it's true. So who are those other people? Who is that other Ashley? Where's she gone now? Is she aware of the Mandela effect in the other realities? It's like just too much. Yeah, there are a lot of near-death experiences, and although I don't think I had one, I'm not actually sure. I was very, very poorly. About 8 years ago, I was very, very poorly, and maybe I did die then. I don't know. But then my first changes were in the 1980s, and I hadn't died then. There was nothing going on in my life then that I died. So I don't know. Again, I don't know. But it still doesn't explain why there's many of us on all these ever-changing worlds. You know, I'm now living in a world where the top of Scotland's come off. So my own country is not the country that I know. And the Ashley that's in that country, this one here, this one, is not the one that it was last week. And I find it most troubling. And you know that Lisa W. Hi. Ooh, I like that. Well, magic, you can't really laugh about it. You can't really say for definite it's time travel and consciousness, because we don't know if it's time travel. Some things feel like a timeline difference because of different changes, obviously, within decisions made within my hometown. That's another thing that gets to me. History in my hometown's just changed. I did mention it in my last video. The King Charles I death warrant was signed by the lead judge who came from my hometown, and it was signed in a pub, and they had a blue plaque on the wall. Blue plaques are of national importance, and they had a blue plaque on the wall explaining that the death warrant for King Charles I was signed in that building. And now it's changed. It's changed to just, this is the building where the office of the regicide John Bradshaw signed his papers. Not totally changed. So that's not a timeline thing, that's a history thing changing. It's not a timeline thing, although the actual building itself has changed a number of times. So it's like at least a 500, maybe 600-year-old pub. And over the past 2 years, I've seen it change maybe 4 or 5 times now. So that could be a timeline, but it still doesn't explain who we are and why the Earth's changing and why every time we move anywhere, we're jumping into versions of ourselves, but with our same essence, consciousness, soul. Hang about a minute. The truth is Voynich and the Truth Seeker 69 on here. I can't see them. Really? Anne, it's up there. Can you please go backwards? All right. No, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just rocking it to and fro. I'll just see if I can get you in. Let's have a look. Let me just, don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, people. I'm an idiot. I lost. So sorry. So sorry. Hi, Voynich. Ah, there's Anne. Thank you, Anne. Come in. Back to stream.
Hey, Ash. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi. Literally, I could not. I had to come on, Anne, after your email today.
Yeah.
You floored me. You know, you floored me with what you were saying, and it just added an extra layer to my already troubled mind about the whole scenario.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. It freaked me out.
Well, that's exactly the point. It is freaky. So explain to everybody, please, what actually happened to you.
Well, I woke up, it was yesterday morning. I woke up and I had cat scratches down my right arm. I had one at my wrist going across, and then on the side, I had more that looked like puncture wounds. Like, I mean, it's clearly from a cat. And I have a cat, my husband's cat, that would scratch me. Like, if I were to pick him up, he'd totally scratch me. But that didn't happen. Like, I hadn't picked him up, and we close our bedroom door at night, so there's no way he could have gotten in and scratched me. I don't I don't know where they came from. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think, okay, well, maybe he scratched me and I didn't realize it, but you realize it when a cat scratches you because it stings. You know, it hurts more than it should, kind of like a paper cut. But
Yeah, really does hurt. You're not going to not notice that.
right, especially when it's in like two places. Like, it looks like he scratched me with his back legs and maybe bit me like further up the arm. But it's not me because I have no memory of it. And I've never had a change like that. Like, I've had changes where like there's changes to my body, but everyone else is noticing them too. So I guess personal, or maybe not. Maybe we all shifted a bit, or some of us. But
We definitely did. We
yeah,
definitely did. But if you went to sleep with no scratches and then wake up with scratches,
right.
that's a freaky thing. That's a
It's
very,
scary.
very freaky thing.
Scary. Because I didn't even think
Yes.
about it until you mentioned it. But it means that like this body was existent before I was in it. I mean, this is an event that happened before. Like,
That's it
I
to
didn't
me,
even
Anne.
think about that until you mentioned it, and I was like, what? I don't know what to do with that.
No, it's absolute proof to me. It's just absolute and utter proof to me that although we know that we're moving through different realities and we know that our body's changing, that's an event that happened to
Right.
you, but didn't happen to you. And that is a massive difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Between us going, oh yeah, look at me, my face looks a bit younger today, my face looks older today, is not the same as an incident happening that didn't happen. And that proves to me without doubt that there really is other people that is us.
Or maybe
and
I don't
things.
know, maybe we're NPCs in that reality until we jump into I I have no
I don't know.
explanation for this. I can't explain it. I don't
No,
I'm telling you, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to like I'm always trying to look on the positive side of things and be optimistic, and I look at this and I'm
yeah,
just like I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm like, this must have happened and I just don't like I don't remember it, but this is a recent thing. Like they still haven't healed. So it must have just happened.
literally, it must have been within the last couple of days.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you have gotten, you would know. I mean, my body is actually covered.
Yeah,
I've got a kitten, so my body is
right.
covered in scratches, little tiny ones and large, and
Yes,
you cannot ignore them. They hurt. They
they do. You
sting.
put
It's like,
something on it.
yeah, yeah, and then you're itching with it, and it's like, no,
Mhm.
you cannot just get one of those and not notice it, not ever.
And
So the fact that you've got that, it just, to
mhm.
me, it's to a different level. It kind of,
Yeah.
it's a bit like being hit in the face with a wet fish, isn't it? It's like, wow, whoa,
It's
that
a
shouldn't
strange
be
feeling when
there.
you look at your arm and you see an injury that you have no memory of getting. Now, I've bumped into
Yeah,
things before and gotten a bruise I don't remember getting, but not something like this. And it can only
you
be a
can't,
cat scratch, and then it looks like maybe a bite. Like those are very distinctive marks. Like it's not. I couldn't have scratched myself and made it so fine. Because I
no,
thought, well,
there's no,
maybe I scratched. No, I didn't.
like that. It isn't, and you would have known. And that is the absolute difference, proving to me, proving without doubt that we do move into other versions of ourselves rather
I
than
guess so.
rather than, rather than just things around us changing. It's more than that. And as we were just saying, it's not the same as us discussing, right, we've had a look on Google today and it said this has changed in our body. That is I've looked at
Mhm.
my body and this arrived that wasn't there before.
Right.
And over the last few days. So you were like, that's proof to me. Proof,
Mhm.
undeniable proof. So
I mean,
what the hell are we? What's
I
that
don't know.
about?
The only thing the
It brings
closest thing I can relate it to is like people who've seen photographs from when they were young and they have no memory of those photographs being taken. Like I've heard people
yeah,
having Mandela effects like that, but this is recent in time. Like this just happened. Like
that's
so
a lot different. Finding,
yeah.
finding, don't be wrong, finding photographs that have changed. I mean, I touch wood, that's not happened to me yet.
Mhm.
That's freaky. Actually, finding something on your body that you didn't have on your body means that something has happened to you, but it hasn't happened to you. And that is
Mhm.
it just blew me away, and brought up all kinds of things like your grandma and my mum. I said that who was actually the mum that gave birth to me. When did I
Yeah.
lose her? Think, when
Yeah.
did I lose that mum? That kind of thing. And I find it difficult to go to my mum's grave because I used to say it's the one place on earth, because people go, oh, she's not there, she's gone
Mhm.
now, she's in a better place. And I'd say that's the one place on earth she actually is, because I
Yeah.
loved my mum. My mum
Yeah.
came in that body. And this is before the Mandela effect. My mum came in that body. So there's my mum
Mhm.
in the grave. I can't face it. It's the one place on earth she actually is. And now it isn't. Now it isn't,
Yeah.
to me. It's not the one place on earth she actually is, because it's who is that woman?
Yeah, what
It,
version is that? Where
yes, yes.
yeah.
Try and remind myself that no matter what version, she's still my precious mum. Whatever
Right.
version,
Right.
it's still my
Right.
precious mum. But
Right.
who the bloody hell is my precious mum? What body is she in? Which
Maybe the
version
better
of it is it?
maybe we need
Oh,
to start asking who are we
that's the whole point.
instead
That's
of who are
exactly
they.
what I
Yeah.
wrote. Who are we? And I think that's
Yeah.
more important than who they are. Yeah, very much so. Because we're the ones that are definitely aware of being involved in different versions of ourselves. I mean,
Right.
I don't know anybody really that you talked about the Mandela effect to, that can actually cope with body changes. They shut off to that completely. Whereas we've got to the point where we can just casually mention it now.
Right.
Yeah, the fallopian tubes are up, down, sideways. You know,
Yeah, my heart's in
you
the center now, and it was on the left. My rib cage is all sorts of weird.
know, yeah, absolutely. And so we kind of take that in our stride in a way. Yeah, that happened this shift, you know, and we take it in. But the fact that we move into other versions of ourselves in clearly a place that is not the one that we just were in last week, because you can tell it isn't, because your surroundings that you're in have changed. The actual the physical makeup of the world has changed.
Yeah.
And you like, you can kind of, you're like, oh, I'm freaked out by that, but scratches on your body that didn't come, that you've got no recollection of, is a step beyond.
That one
That's
got me.
something
That one got me. And I think that I think we all kind of
like,
become a little bit numb to changes after a while, because you just like you have to in order to live, and so you just kind of like, oh well,
yeah,
this is another logo changes. I mean, each one in itself is like a miracle or a supernatural event, but you get numb to it, and then there'll be one that comes up that just kind of hits you, and you don't know which one it's going to be that hits you, and you're like,
no.
I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what that means. I'm just,
I think
I don't
that's the hardest part really for us. I mean, apart from the fact that it's obviously our loved ones and family and friends that don't see it, that we no longer share. I mean, you were saying yourself that even though your husband's affected, you don't, even now, you don't share exactly the same memories that you
No,
would have expected.
we're not from the same place. Like,
That's
and we
the
joke
same
about it,
place.
but
It's,
underneath that, that's something serious, right? I guess. I don't know.
yes, yeah. And at least you can actually joke about it and come from a
That's
place
true.
where you agree and you understand that you don't understand it. Thank God for that.
Right.
Thank God for that. I mean, that is a really a wonderful place for you to be, because that must
Yeah.
be, in one way, that must be even more difficult when you're aware of it, but you can say, hang about, but you're not quite the same. And oh no, when you're not quite the same there, but you can get over
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That is a really big deal, to be able to get over that and still stay, you know, have that same connection with each other. Is kind
Right.
of in a way harder than trying to deal with your family and friends that don't know anything. You know, I mean, I can't say to my husband, I'm not in the same body as I was, and neither are you, Steve. And the last time you saw me, when you came to pick me up, I was in a different body then. You can't talk to people
Right.
like that.
Right.
Anybody that isn't affected at all,
Yeah.
at all. You can't mention things like that.
You do
So
in your
yeah, the
mind
fact
though.
that,
Every time you see them, you're like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sat here for the first time in months with my family, and there's so many things that I just want to scream at them, because I'm looking at I'm seeing the map of Britain, like constantly. It's constantly on TV. The other thing I've seen an awful lot of is the American flag. Now, I do know for some of you it's changed. It flipped back to the red line underneath, but it's showing me this American flag over and over again, and it's still got the white line, because that annoys me. Even though I'm a Brit,
yeah.
it annoys me as much as my own flag changing, because it's the flag
Yeah,
that
the
we've
British
seen
flag
forever.
annoys me.
Yeah, it's a flag we've seen forever, so we can see the difference, and it's. But those things we can cope with. Those things we can cope with. It can freak us out. I mean, the other day I had a right freak out, because I'd had enough of seeing my own country change, be on the telly every
Right.
5 minutes. I'm only sitting there and not noticing. It's like, how can you not
Right.
notice? It looks ridiculous. And I just wanted to freak out. And I was actually starting to cry, and having to go to the toilet to keep out the way of people, to get it out of the system, you know, before coming back. Because I've had that long away from unaffected people and my unaffected family, the pandemic, that it's became much easier to live on my own and deal with it. When I say on my own, I obviously you guys, because I couldn't do it on my own. You know, when I say on my own, I mean you, because we don't understand everything. It's very, very isolating, and I really felt it this last week. Even though it was wonderful, I mean, I'm there with my family, my grandchildren. It's wonderful. But yeah, I'm feeling really lonely. I was with my grandson when I went into town, and I was just stood looking at the pub that has changed so much. And he's like, "What is it, Gran? What is it?" And I'm looking, and I said, "Oh, I'm just looking at it." And then on the way past, the other way, we stopped, and I read the blue plaque that said that the history had changed. I've stood with him before looking at that plaque that he now doesn't remember. And he said to me, "What is it, Gran?" And I just said, "It's not how I remember it." And that's all. I mean, he's only 13. I can't.
Right.
He talks about, don't get me wrong, he talks about consciousness and all kinds of stuff. He's my grandson. Do you know what I mean? He talks about all these kind of things, but he's
Right.
13. I'm
Right.
putting that on him yet. So, I mean, he said he's looking forward to getting to the age where I can tell him everything that I want to tell him.
Well, I mean, I don't know because we don't have any answers. That's the problem. Like I've tried
Yeah,
telling
no, at the
people,
moment,
I don't
we
have
have
any answers
absolutely
for
no
them
one. No,
because
no.
one of
And
the
it's
questions is,
getting,
well, what's causing it? And you're like, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't.
I have
All we can
theories,
say,
but I don't know.
supernatural is that is as near to damn it as I can say.
Right.
Supernatural. That because it's not natural. It's supernatural. We are
No.
living in a sci-fi movie. We are living in
Yes.
a sci-fi movie, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And that just brings up. I mean, I watched Sliders in the 90s. Do you know?
Right.
I watched it. Now I'm living it. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa. The only thing is that I don't wake up in like in the dinosaur times or in the future. It's always the here and now, isn't it? The same timeline, the same
Right.
allegedly. We're always on the
Yeah.
same date, aren't we? That
That's
that
true.
doesn't
That's as
even.
far as we know. I think so.
Well, yeah, time changes. We slip in and out of like we lose hours, we gain hours. That kind of thing happens.
Hmm.
But we all kind of seem to be in the same year at the same date as we should be thus far.
Right.
Don't know how far
Right.
that's going to go because as we know
I don't
in
know
the
because
Bible
everything's
about
changed.
yeah, absolutely, and it says about time being messed with. So it says about everything being messed with. But to actually
Yeah, it says
see
everything
it
will change.
happen, yeah, in real time, in reality, the reality of no reality is freaky, but it is something that we can kind of, in the main, because of it having each other, gloss over
Hmm.
in the main with
Right.
our wobbly days. But literally finding scratches on you from a cat that you haven't happened.
I have no memory of. I have no memory of, and I think, well, maybe am I senile? Like, did it happen? Did I forget it? But it would have been within a day. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
I've
you're too
tried to
fresh
rationalize
now.
it away. I've tried to because it makes me uncomfortable, but I can't because
Yeah,
I just I have no
yeah. I mean,
memory of it.
I've tried to like you must have gone through every scenario known to man to try and work
Right.
out a logical way why that happened. I mean, I'm just glad that you're Mandela affected and you know you are, because
Right.
otherwise you could go. I mean, you can go, you can almost go out of your mind whilst being Mandela affected, knowing that.
Yeah.
But without
Yeah.
actually knowing
Absolutely.
what's happening to you, that would be oh. I mean, it's bad enough knowing we are, but not knowing. And again, that also makes me think. I mean, and like I've said before, where does the person go? Because they're clearly not an empty shell. So where does it mean? Why is
Maybe
there
they
another
are.
person?
I mean,
Why are
maybe there's. Well, no, because I can't even say they're an empty shell. Because I had thought, well, maybe they're the NPCs until we move into them. But how could that be when I can see that there was something, some consciousness or something here
yeah,
that had that event because it wasn't
yeah,
something had that
and it was
event.
yeah, very much so. It was an actual event that happened. That's the thing that got to
Mhm.
me. It was something actually happened. It's not the same as some looking up Google or yeah, there's my
Mhm.
building change today. This is on your body. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very different thing. That's a very mind melting situation to be in, very much. It's not, I mean, I've heard of people that have got better from terrible illnesses that they shouldn't have done.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, my friend has got a kidney missing, but she doesn't know why. Things like that go
Right.
on. And we become blasé, but I don't know how you're supposed to be blasé about scratches appearing on you that you don't have any recollection of it happening,
Well,
or
like I
they
said, the
clearly
only thing
did.
I can liken it to is like people that have found photographs of
Yeah,
times where, they're in the photo, but they don't have a memory of being in that place or being in that outfit or being that person. That's the only thing that I can relate to it. But again, this is something, it's just so close in time. Like it's like this, it's almost like you think, well, this consciousness or this version of me was so close. It's like you can almost touch them. I guess you do literally,
Well,
but
yeah,
I don't know.
as if we could almost bump into each other on the way past, you know, on
Right.
our, I mean, as if we could almost
Yeah.
bump into each other and we could just stop
Mm,
briefly and say, hello, catch a
right.
glimpse of the other us. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know,
You
would
almost
that
get that
really,
sense because it had to have been so close in time. And like I said, I've sat there and I've gone through every possible scenario. I mean, like, I can't come up with something, and I guess in some way, I'm grateful that it's something that's so specific. Like, this isn't, I couldn't have scratched myself in my sleep and had the marks look like this. I couldn't have, like, it's not like I was
no,
asleep and I could have hit myself and had a
you,
bruise. Like, it's very specific what it is. And
yeah,
I
you
don't
really can't explain that one, can't you? Oh, I might have bumped myself because you got a bruise. Is not the same as the raw and fresh cat scratches.
know. Right.
No.
Right.
So that is, I think that to me, and I think that's one of the most freaky things I've heard, you know, and out of all the freaky stories that we've heard over these last few years, that is definitely
Mm-hmm.
one of the freakiest. That,
Well, I see in
and
chat, like,
especially on her to
Crunchy
live
Bee
with
says
that, you know,
maybe
live
some
with.
entity of some sort, which that freaks me out too. But I mean, it's a cat. If it's an entity, it's a cat. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and I've actually thought about. I mean, I must admit, I've thought about animals a lot differently too since this,
Mm,
you know, because I mean, they obviously have a consciousness of their own, don't they? Because they have their own
mm,
personalities and things.
right.
Everything. It just makes me question every single thing. Hi, Michael. Hi. Um, can I just say, oh my God, are you? Oh, sorry. Truth Seek 69's been backstage this whole time. I'm such an idiot. Sorry, I'm letting you in, love. Sorry. I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. There we go. Yeah, I'm new to
Hi.
this.
Hey,
I'm to stream. Come on.
I'm just
Are you
listening.
there? Are
she
you
was
in?
there. She was in for a second.
Right. I think she's back. Add to stream.
There you go.
Add it to the stream. There we are. Excellent. Yay.
I've been listening to
Hey.
the
Hi,
conversation.
girl.
Hi, you're having
Hey.
a great conversation here, and I was really, really interested. And I saw the StreamYard link, so I thought, let me try and get in.
Welcome.
I'm just so stupid. I never saw you waiting down.
It's okay. Happens to everybody. I've done it to plenty of people. Are you frozen?
No, well, I'm here. I don't. Ash looks like she's frozen.
Yeah. So Annadella?
Mandela, yeah,
Like
you can just call
Mandela,
me.
Andela. I like that.
Right. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. Well, you know, it's cute, I guess.
Yeah.
So have you ever woken up with scratches or something and
No,
not?
I did wake up to this side of my hair being shorter than the other side, and it was right the same night that a Bible change occurred, and the Bible was sitting right next to me on my desk. And I woke up with a migraine headache, and
Right.
I was like, "What is wrong with my head?" Like, it's the worst when you wake up with a
Oh
migraine.
yeah, absolutely.
And then I go in the bathroom and find out that this side of my hair is like this short. Like that much
Oh, so
was off compared to this side. And I was
Oh my
growing my
God.
hair out, and I cut my own hair. I do everything to my own hair.
Right.
I would know if I fucked up that bad. Excuse my language, right? So I
Was
actually
it like one section, or was it like the whole thing was shorter
no,
the whole
it was
side?
just right here. Now, granted,
Uh-huh.
my head is laying right next to the nightstand, right next to the Bible. That fucking changed
Right.
overnight. And the change was it went from the apostles being Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to Saint Mark, Saint Matthew, Saint Luke, Saint John. So in the King James Bible, it always said gospel according to the apostle Luke or John,
Right.
or to say the gospel according to John. The apostle John usually, but now it says Saint John, Saint Luke, you know, and it's real big letters too. It's not like
Right.
small or anything. It's all capital letters, Saint John, Saint Luke, Saint Matthew.
Right.
And when I had realized that change occurred and I'm laying next to this Bible, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened to my freaking hair.
Right.
Why do
Right.
I have a migraine like I was drinking last night or something?
I think there's a migraine connection. I know that like I didn't start getting migraines until like 2000. I want to say 2013. It was 2012, 2013, and I think that there might be a connection with that and Mandela affected people or shifting or
Yeah, do you
You
get
know?
that tone that goes through your head?
Yes.
Do you hear the tone? I do too.
Yes.
I haven't heard it as frequently as I did last year and the year before. I barely ever hear it at all anymore. But when I do get it, it starts in this ear, it moves through, it peaks out around the center and moves right throughout the other side. And it cuts out any other sound that I'm hearing in
You
my
go
area.
deaf kind of. You go deaf kind of when you hear it
Yeah,
for like
it's not
about
tinnitus.
30 seconds. No.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It's only about like, 20, 30 seconds. It's pretty quick moving, but you can hear it start and then everything kind of fades out and that's all you hear. And then it gets to the center. It's like loud and then it starts to dim out again and goes out this ear. And it's just, I feel like I'm being scanned. Like I just got scanned.
I actually have an interesting story with that because I hear it and my husband has Mandela effect and he hears it too, but we don't hear it at the same time except for one time. We heard it at exactly the same instance. And that was 2017, the day the eclipse came through, and the eclipse came not far from where we live. And when the eclipse like started going over the sun, we were inside. We didn't go out to watch it. We were inside and we both heard that sound and it lasted for about, I would say about a minute. It was one of the longer ones and it was the exact same time. We both heard it for the same amount of time and that's the only time that that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
it definitely feels like something's scanning my brain or something is, I don't feel different afterwards. I really pay attention when it happens and I clear my head. I just try to, remember what I was just doing and what I'm going to be doing. And I never notice any particular kind of change in me. Although it's like, I definitely feel like something scanned me or some type of signal has just moved through this area and maybe I got caught up in it.
Yeah. And it sounds a little bit like a tuning fork to me.
Yeah.
It sounds almost really almost mechanical.
Yeah, because we were listening to tuning forks the other day and I told my husband, I said, that's the noise that I hear in my head that because somebody hit one of those tuning forks. I forget they were doing something with frequency and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, and tuning fork would be something with frequency and so yeah, it has that sound to me too. Absolutely.
Ashley,
I don't know what it is.
Do you receive that tone in your head? Do you experience the tone?
I have a couple of times, but I don't get that very often. I do have especially one ear goes absolutely mental with high.
Oh, the StreamYard might be giving her some problems, especially if she's doing it on her phone. I don't know if she's using
right. I think she is.
I'm back, look.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it off. I'm gonna keep the camera off. It's much easier. Yeah, it's like I have had that. I have had it a few times. I also, when in about 2012, I was getting really strange, like right in the center of my head, like kind of things, where I was completely freaking out. I went to a point where I was seeing sideways, all kinds of weird things happened to me all in one go. And since then, I kind of get, like most people, we get a bit knocked off, get a bit knocked sideways during the big changes. We all suffer. We can feel the frequency. It's a feeling. I can feel it more than hear it. It's a weird scenario.
And if you look at the Schumann around that time too, you'll notice usually there's, at least I've noticed, there's a lot of like spikes in it at that time.
Yeah, the Schumann resonance, massive link to us, definitely.
And I'll either feel really fantastic, like I've got so much energy, like I never want to sleep again, or I feel just completely drained, like.
Yeah. Either one or the other. But if we're going through, I mean, when you think about what the Schumann resonance is, and we're going through actual earth changes, as in like the plane is changing every day, isn't it? The shape of all the continents and everything are changing doolally virtually every day. And when we go through those shifts, I think there's the Schumann resonance is just going absolutely crazy at those points in time.
I think that my thoughts on the map changes and stuff is I think the Mandela effect is showing us where the lies lie. So the globe is a lie. and therefore everything on it's going to shift around because the whole thing is one big lie. Now, my co-host Steve JMO, he said on a flat map, South America is where it is now in our current reality. It's all the way over towards the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and not under America like we know it to be, how it used to be on the globe. And I found that to be interesting too. But yeah, it seems like the Mandela effect seems to point out lies. You know, if it's not something that's true and going to hold true to its nature, it will shift because it's a lie. It was based on a lie. You see what I'm saying?
I've often thought that it's kind of like the great revealing. I mean, some people say it's the great deception.
It's the apocalypse.
I guess that would depend on like how awake you are. Like if you're not awake, then I guess it would be a deception because you're not seeing the changes. And if you're awake, then you see the changes. I think that's why it talks about the eyes that can see and the ears that can hear. And
I thought that, but then I know a lot of awake people that don't see the Mandela effect at all. And you know,
spiritual blindness.
Yeah, and that's what you come into it, spiritual blindness. You're right. Whereas, you know, I think a lot of us have either been already feeling quite not religious. I think religious is the wrong word, but already there, feeling that already there, or it kind of, we'd already been looking and searching and trying to find answers for religious or spiritual situation.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the only answer I could come up with so far, and I've been into the Mandela effect for like 3.5 years now, steady, is that the one thing I take from the whole thing is that our reality is not what they told us it was. Clearly.
That's true.
And that is the one definite thing it shows us. Without a doubt, it's showing us your reality is not what they told you it was. You've been thinking about this in the whole wrong way. It's the way they've been wanting you to think about it.
It really is the one thing, the one and only thing that we actually do know. That we don't know anything. That we've been told a lie.
Question after question.
It's the only thing we know.
The thing I find with it that I think is so unnerving is that there's this sense of almost urgency with it. Like you feel like it's heading towards something, or that you know, and it's just like, well, it's the hard part. That's the hardest part. One of the hardest parts with me is that like you feel like it's heading towards something, but how long is it going to take? Like it's been, you know, for me it's been since 2016 and it's 2020, and I don't really have any more answers. I have theories, but those can change on a daily basis.
I have this bond that after a year of like searching through all kinds of researching quantum physics and like all kinds of weird and wacky things I was really delving deep into, had a fond idea that after a year I'd have cracked it. Like what?
Right. I thought that too.
You're going to crack it in a year.
If I just study more.
I never stop because I still can't. I wish, in a way, I kind of envy people that see changes but can just go, kind of envy them. But I know what I don't.
How they could just shut it off. It's nothing. It's so important what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you just go? There we go. Yeah, it's changing. My husband, it agreed. Yes, I've seen changes. My husband saw people disappear in front of his eyes. He did. He looked down. He looked up. They'd gone. Literally that quickly. And I went. And he phoned me to tell me that's how important it was to him. So he knows things are changing, but he says because at first he wouldn't have any of it, obviously, but then he could see that I'd stand looking at the TV because something will have changed. Because I mean, obviously, where I am, where I actually live, I don't have a TV. So it kind of, when I go and live with my family, they've all got the TV on, and I kind of stand in front of it sometimes in absolute awe at the change I've seen. And so he'll say, "I've changed there," but he can't. His main thing is can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You can do anything about it or not. It's freaky.
I mean,
that building's just.
Right. They could do it they can think about it. You don't even want to think about it. It's like, oh, I can't do nothing about that. Oh, well, but take 5 minutes and just try to think about this thing for a minute. And maybe we'll find that one person who does have the answer, but most people are just ready to just, shut the door on it. Like, okay, well, it's not changing my life in any kind of way. I still have 0 in the bank. Was that going to change?
Well, I mean, now we don't even know. We don't even know if we're dealing with the same person, because like I've woken up a couple of people, like a couple of friends, and they see the changes and they're with it for like weekends, like a couple days. Like I remember one friend, I just started going through everything, because I always wondered, well, what if you just started going through all of the changes, just threw everything at him, and so I did, and he woke up to it and he called me the next day and wanted to talk about it all day long, and then 2 days later nothing. But now that I see these scratches on my arm, I think maybe that's why we seem to wake them up and they go back to sleep, because that's a different them. Like, it's a different them, maybe very close, but a different person.
It is a different league, that is, isn't it, really? Because that really shows, like I said, that's what freaked me out and why I actually came on to do the live, was because that is a personal, oh my God, this definitely is not my body moment.
Right.
Isn't it? We're normally so casual about it. Yeah, my face looks dead old today. It looked 5 years younger last night, but this morning when I woke up, I seem to be like 60 instead of 55. Yeah. We can do that,
right?
But that's not a personal event happening to your body that you don't remember.
Yeah,
and you would.
I would, because it would have just happened. It's not like, oh, this is something that happened like a week ago or 3 weeks ago or 6 months ago. This is something that would have happened within like 24 hours. Like, I'm not going to forget unless I have gone senile. And that's a possibility, I suppose. Unless I have lost my mind, I would not forget that.
Yeah.
Well, we all know we haven't lost our minds. That's we know that. What you see, that's the good thing. You can at least talk to us who just accept that that's happened to you and why. And although we don't really understand why, I mean, Jen, have you got any thoughts about what you think we are?
Well, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience here on this plane, and the plane itself has been kept from us, and the true nature of the plane, the reality that we're in, and our true potential has all been kept from us. So we have to, start to come up with all these new ideas and original thoughts to try to figure out what's going on. Okay, so we are the center of the universe, which means we have a purpose. God put us here for a reason under this dome on this flat plane. Clearly, we're not even doing what we're supposed to be doing, because we're doing the complete opposite. We're doing everything that they have us doing, what we've been indoctrinated into all our lives, of what we think life's all about. And so we're way, way, way off track from what we should have been doing all this time and where we would be at now at this particular cycle. We're coming towards the end of a cycle now here on our plane, and we're not prepared for it any kind of way. We don't even know what this Mandela effect is. If we were raised right and taught about the true nature of things, like the shaman and the spiritualists all talk about, we would be mentally prepared for what's coming down the pike. They would not have been able to so easily hijack this and piggyback it and control our what they call it, the narrative. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's Mandela affected. Nobody is not Mandela affected. And there's a reason for that. Even if it's on the slightest, tiniest little level, it's for everybody to see and experience. But people are choosing not to be.
It has to be about.
I don't know if it's voluntary. I don't know if they're voluntarily choosing not to see it. I'm not certain.
No, I mean,
because the reactions are all uniform, right? Like, it's like you can almost enumerate the types of reactions. It's like, 1, they'll get really angry, like really exceedingly angry for no reason. 2, they'll just walk off like you haven't been discussing anything. 3, they'll discuss it with you and then act like that conversation never happened. Or they'll acknowledge the changes, and then a day later, nothing. And that's, I think these really
people are heavily indoctrinated. They may watch more TV than we do. They may have eaten a lot worse diet than we have. I think all this plays into where we're at now. and the types of people that we have. People are riddled with cancer, diabetes, heart disease. They're slow, sick, and dying. Mentally, they're just completely gone because of the trauma-based mind control to the tell eyes to your vision. And this is just one of those things that they just don't have time for. They don't accept it into their reality. Like you said, they don't want, they can't do anything about it. So they just move on. For us, people like us, we've probably had a lot less shots, different diets, less programming, and we're the ones who are awake to all this, and we can see it.
No, I don't know. I mean, I was a military brat, and I have a doctorate, so that's a lot of programming, right? Like, that's a lot of indoctrination.
I would say, yeah, but I mean, it could be other contributing factors. I don't know. Do you watch a lot of TV?
No, I don't watch a lot of TV, and I'm vegan, so that might help. But
that might help. Yeah, I think our diet has a lot to do with this.
I'm not certain that we chose this. I'm not certain. I'm just not that we chose this or that they chose that. That
I think
there's something to it spiritually. Maybe it is something to rather than the diet or the indoctrination, but our hearts. Maybe it has something, because I always look to try to find a commonality between people that are Mandela affected. And the thing that I've seen that seems to be true, it's not 100% because nothing is, but it seems to be that the people that I've encountered that are Mandela affected are kinder, just kinder.
Yeah, empathy, compassion. We do seem to share empathy and compassion.
Well, I mean,
we're not exactly the same,
I've asked
and we can't.
I've asked over 400 vets how many people were in the car when JFK was assassinated. And 99.999% of them say 4 people in the car. I don't tell them about the Mandela effect. I ask them the question, see what they remember, try to get as much detail out of them as I can. I record it. And then, so I don't tell them about the Mandela effect. They're very old. Usually they're like in their 70s. And I don't know. I don't really want to drop that in their laps. I do tell some of them about, well, there's 6 in the car now. And they're like, no way, there's 4. And they'll go to look it up. Some people tell me they have newspapers at home from the event. They lived through it. It's seared into their brain. They know it was 4 people. They named the people. They described the car. And then they see it's changed. And a couple of them said to me, well, what are they doing? Are they changing history? And I said, well, you know, it would seem something is changing something. And then I try to explain the Mandela effect, but it's really hard to explain it. Usually I just go through and get that answer and move on. So they don't even know they're Mandela affected, but they are. And
I think one of the hardest things is the updates that they take. I think that confuses me.
Yeah.
I think more than anything else, because they literally in front of you will say one thing, and it's exactly how you remember it, and they remember it the same. And you say, hold on to that thought, and then they do this really weird kind of.
And they seem to kind of look up a little bit or look off, like zone out for just a second.
Zone out, they get this kind of update, and they go, oh, no. It was how you said it, you know, it was how you said it was. They do have, we've always had that bone behind our eye socket.
Mm-hmm.
But you just said we didn't. And you said you could poke your brain through your eye, because that's what we believed as kids. You said that, you remembered that, and now, oh, no, I was mistaken. And you literally see them take an upload.
And they don't trust their memories either. Like once they see the change, like say they Google it right in front of you and they're like, oh, okay, well, it was always a bone behind our eye. I'm wrong. I'm like, no, you said you remember it that way. Like, so instead of even trusting their instincts, trusting themselves and their memories, that's being hijacked now. We're being bred into not trusting ourselves. Trust Google. Google has all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like my husband will say, oh, well, that's just on the internet. And I'll say, yeah, but Steve, the internet's supposed to tell you the same information when you ask it. Right. It's not supposed to change or give you 3 separate answers.
So there's
and he's like,
truth
and then
in a very particular precarious situation here with truth, because what's true today won't be true tomorrow. If I had to testify in court how many people were in that car with JFK while the assassination took place, I would testify that there was 4 people in the car. I know there was 4 people in the car. I studied that event over and over and over and over and over again, especially when the driver supposedly turned and shot JFK. Well, now Connolly's in the way. So that's an impossibility. And I would never testify that there's 6 people in the car. That's not true for me.
You know, I think the interesting thing about that is
you could be on the line and you'd say test me. But, you know, do a lie detector. If your life was on the line, a lie detector, and it'd come out that you were telling the truth. And they would say, she believes she is telling the truth. It would no longer be you are telling the truth. It's she believes.
Yeah, I got some.
And that's what it had then been.
I think that event is like almost like a separate category of anomaly with the Mandela effect, because there's some events and some things that seem to constantly change. Like there's a progression. Like for example, 9/11 changes a lot. The JFK assassination has a lot of MEs. They're changing. Like it changes a lot. I've noticed that the Sphinx, like in Egypt, seems to be crumbling, and that almost is reassuring to me because it seems almost linear because it's crumbling. Like it seems like each time we shift, if you look at a picture of it, it's more like eroded. So there's certain things that seem to fall into almost like a different anomaly of this, whatever this is. And I think the JFK is one because I know there's like her outfit changed for me. Like now it's pink, it was white. I know like they know who the babushka lady is, and that was like a big thing. They didn't know who she was, or
now
said
there's
they
like
didn't.
14 different video angles, and they're all
and it's in color.
All
and
in color, yeah.
So many, yeah.
Okay, so my answer to that is like the globe. JFK, the whole event was one big lie. It's completely shifty now because we're seeing so many angles of this event change with consistent changes through this Mandela effect thing that it was one big lie, and it has to be shifty now. You know what I'm saying? Because we're seeing the true nature of it. It was one big lie.
That's interesting because that's another thing I thought was like with the globe. That's the one thing that I haven't seen anyone find like really good residue of it, of the way that I remember it. And I've seen parts of it that are kind of, but other parts of it are not. Like I haven't seen one that's exactly as I remember it having been. And
nor me. No. And the world just seems to be really obsessed with the map. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere.
That's true.
The map is everywhere. I can't go in a shop without have a map for you all. You know, beautiful maps in gold and things, globes all over the place. It's like, what? When did that become a popular thing? When did that happen again? Because people really didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? We knew that the Earth's like that. We weren't constantly putting pictures of the Earth on the wall, you know, as like in your living room decor. You know, it's like, what the hell? So it's the fact that what they did, and this is, I don't know if they did it in America, but they did it here in Britain. They actually, because my husband said it to me, he said, yeah, but we were actually told that they'd recalibrated the Earth, so we got it more like it really should be.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but we had satellites before they did that. So what were the satellites doing then? Why were they lying to us? Because if we hadn't had satellites before, fair dues, but we did. So how can you be showing us a satellite image that now is completely different, but it's been realigned properly? And he didn't have an answer to that, obviously. Obviously, he didn't have an answer to that. But it's definitely not.
I definitely see that if something is true to its nature, it was never a lie to begin with. Those are the things that will not shift or change. For me, everything that has shifted and changed was a lie.
Well, what about physiology? Like, what about body changes then?
I think that we've been lied to about our body, and things were never where they told us they were.
Yeah, but it changes all the time. Whenever we move, it doesn't stay the same. It's loads of different versions of it. When we move, it's a different version. I mean, we've had the kidneys have gone up and down. The liver's it used to be where I came from. The liver was one big liver.
Where we're living and what we're living on, and you know, everything around us is one big lie. We don't really have any original thoughts of our own because we've been bred into a lie. That what they're telling us about our body's true. Clearly, the virus thing isn't true. That was one big lie, how it's transmitted and everything. So, a lot more going on with the bodies that they've from us.
I think that it is the great revealing. So I agree with what you're saying. I think there's something else going on there too, though, because like there's a ridge now in our chins, and there wasn't a ridge in my chin before, and I can feel it. So that's one that I know that has changed. But the Bible does speak of us getting new bodies, so maybe it's that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like maybe there's not one theory that encompasses it all. Maybe we need to start breaking it into like subcategories. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
I agree with you. I had said a while back, I don't think we're meant to even figure this out. I think we're meant to witness. We're witnesses to this. The people who can't see it, I don't know what the hell their problem is, but I'm a witness to all this. And I think that's my part that I play in it. It might not be my part to make everybody aware of it. However, I do feel it's important to do that. But as long as I'm seeing it and I can see the changes and I understand somewhat of what's going on, at least that my reality is not what I've been told, then, you know, I guess I'm doing all right.
My husband said something like that, you know, that we're just meant to know it and remember it, to speak on it at some point in the future, to be that sort of living memory. Yeah, like he said the same thing. Yeah,
the Bible is written in your heart. So I know the lion always laid with the lamb, and I will testify to that. Nobody will ever tell me that a wolf was ever in that equation.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I've noticed a couple recent Bible changes too. Like it's constantly changing.
Oh yeah, Lucifer's having a ball with that whole thing. If he has any hand in
it.
Genesis 22 was an eye opener for me. I did a whole video about it because Genesis 22 was about the sacrifice of Isaac. And, you know, when in my reality, he was about to sacrifice Isaac as God had asked him to. And just as he was about to plunge the knife into his son, God changed it with his own words, and his son was replaced with a ram or a lamb. Right now, and now in the Bible, it says that a ram was found underneath a bush further away, and they got it and they killed that instead. And it takes away the whole miracle of what the story was about in the first place. And then when I said about this, the amount of the different stories that came out of that was unreal.
Well,
the people's on Genesis 22, there were so many different versions of it were unreal. The difference in them.
None of these changes,
make a video of that.
For the Bible, none of these changes are good changes, and you'll know them by their fruits. So, granted, I am a witness to this. I can witness and testify to certain verses in the Bible. I don't know the whole Bible, and I don't know every verse, but I do know some key ones that are written in my heart, and the Bible's saying something different now. But I cannot find one change that's either positive or even on a neutral side, even if it's just the slightest little grammatical error, that error in itself is taken away from the perfection of the scripture. So it's all blasphemy. It's all slapped in God's face, and it does feel like Lucifer has some type of hand in that.
Well, there's definitely something going on. I mean, something's changing. Like, for example, the most recent ones for me are now Jesus curses 3 cities. And I don't remember Jesus cursing any cities. And I know there's the older one where he curses like a fig tree. Because he didn't have fruit when he was hungry, which seems weird.
Yeah.
And but 3 cities now he curses. One of them is the home of Peter, and one is the city that he lived in after he left Nazareth. And apparently now Nazareth tried to kill him. City of Nazareth got together and tried to push him off a cliff.
What?
So that's new to me. And then I read just like a day ago. It's in Zechariah. I don't remember the exact passage, but it says that in that day that the weakest among them will be like David, and that the house of David will be like God. That's new to me. Or it's in Zechariah. I don't remember where, but it's Zechariah.
Did not say. No way. No. Oh, I can't bear it.
Completely different book now. It's definitely a different book now. And then you're finding out all kinds of stuff about King James and what he was really about. And he's the one who approved this Bible. So, you know, I mean.
Yes, you're right there. he was a vile piece of work.
Yeah.
And he was the least godly, incredible. People don't actually know the history of him, and they should, because it does put massive questions over the whole thing. I mean, the thing that, I mean, I've said before that my problem, I left Christianity because I knew too much, because I went and had a look and found out how very manipulated Christianity had been. And then the further I got in, I just stopped believing in it. Apart from being one God, I stopped believing in the Bible altogether, and I stopped believing in Christianity. And like most of you know, I actually got back to Christianity through the Hopi prophecy, so which says the word exactly how we were created and what's going to happen, and Jesus coming back. And so the Hopi prophecy showed me that, and it told me everything that I used to say to people, that before we had things written down, people were here, and we looked for God always.
Yes.
Always we search for God. And we have parts in our brain that just on our temples, where when you have things like stigmata or you have religious visions, those part of your brain go mad. So we're hardwired for God.
Yeah.
We're hardwired for God. And that was before Mandela effect changes. Because, I mean, I think we'd probably have them removed from us the way it's going at the minute. That's what worries me. Do you know what I mean? Is it going to strip that from us? I worry about all kinds of levels, because, because of what it's actually doing. When you've got the Bible changing so horribly, I recoil when, I'm sat here at a table with my little phone, and I'm hearing Anne say that, and I am recoiling back from the phone. What he's saying is that bad. It's the Bible. So it goes deeper than us getting a translation wrong. It's not about that. It's about,
the thing about the Bible. I think it was never meant to be written down. I think it was meant to be passed word of mouth, because it was to be written on our hearts, where it can't change. That's ink and paper approved by King James, the homosexual himself, and a Mason, and all this other crap like that. So if this Bible is, supposedly written 300 years after Jesus passed, all these other things, that don't add up and stuff like that. I'm not saying the Bible doesn't have good things in it, but if the Mandela effect is showing us that things are not true to their nature, the Bible, say, being one of them, because it's manipulated by King frickin' James, okay, and all the other manipulators before that, that this is going to shift and change. Now, if you had the Word of God written on your heart, because it's told to you through generation to generation, and passed down, they would not be able to change any of that, because our memories don't change.
Well, it says in the Bible now, it said it in two places for a while, and now I think it's only in one, but it said that memory is a blessing to the righteous. Like, memory is a gift to the righteous. And it said it around the parable of the seed, and that was in there for a while, and then it moved, but it's still there in Psalms. It says that memory is a gift to the righteous. And so what I think, and I have to go to the Bible, like, I think it's really all the prophecies from all the different religions that are happening now, but the Bible is the one that I know best, so that's the one that I go to.
Yeah.
And I think when it talks about in end days about people receiving the seal of God on their foreheads, I think the forehead, or touching of the forehead, is often symbolic of your mind, your brain. And so when you seal something away, like in an envelope, you seal it away so that it's not messed with. Yeah. And I think that maybe being Mandela affected is having that seal on your mind so that you can remember, because memory is a gift of the righteous.
Yeah, because all the things that are changing, memory isn't changing. I mean, some people seem like they take some updates in the middle of the question itself when it's being presented, but the memory is the key thing, that the Bible has to be written on your heart. And being a witness through this lifetime, everything that I've ever encountered and discovered and discussed is all written on my heart. Just like your favorite song, you can sing it by memory. You don't got to look up the lyrics and read them every day, but now we're finding that a lot of the lyrics have changed in these songs and stuff, but your memory remains the same. So it's very interesting, very, very interesting times.
Well, it's interesting. That's a good word for it.
That used to be something you'd say to someone, right? May you live in interesting times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not so much anymore. But I think that So then I think, well, why is our memory sealed, right? I think that when you have the memory and then you look at the changes, I think that in between you receive a message, and I think it's a supernatural message. I think that, so I don't look at the changes in the Bible with the same sort of trepidation I once did. I look at it and I go, okay, well, this is what I remember and this is what it says now. So what's the message that others can't see? And it's even kind of mirrored in the ideology that Jesus puts forth when he says, I'm speaking in parables, and they say, why? And he says, so others can see but not see, or hear but not hear. So he's saying that the message is really only for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear.
Yes.
Seems to be implied there.
Yeah.
So the people with the eyes to see and the ears to hear are the people that remember how it was and can see how it is different from that.
Yeah.
So that in between, that's where we're receiving the messages, I think.
Also, let me point out, I hate to interrupt you though, but if you have a personal relationship with Jesus, even if you don't know all these Bible verses, you would know that Jesus would never curse something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's important. Like, I didn't know that verse until you just said it, but the Jesus I know would not curse a city or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree. You don't have to know all the verses to know
that
that is not
the Jesus that I grew up worshiping, like that I was taught, like I went to Christian, like I was a Baptist, is not the same Jesus now. So I don't know which one's really true, to be honest, because and I know it's not popular, but if I just follow the meanings of the changes, I get a very different impression of Jesus. And I start to wonder, because they flip everything.
Yes.
If the Jesus in the Bible is actually the bad guy.
Yes.
Because they flip everything. For example, it says that one of the signs for the end times is the revealing of the man of lawlessness, right? That's one of the signs. Now, the law is the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, Moses' law. The only person that I'm aware of in the Bible, or really in the world, that stands up and says, I'm not under the law, is Jesus, which makes him lawless, right?
Right.
And then Revelations, that's what it was always called for me.
Yes.
The title of it changed to The Revelation of Jesus Christ. So the revelation of Jesus Christ, the revealing of Jesus Christ, the man of lawlessness. I think it was flipped so that we'd be worshiping the adversary, because the first time that it's mentioned that one person is responsible for the sins of the world was actually in the book of Enoch. And it was the leader of the fallen angels who was blamed, who took all of the sins of the world onto him, because he's the one that introduced sin into the world. So in the book of Enoch, it's Samael, the leader of the fallen angels. So then we see that same thing being repeated with Jesus. And then Jesus, there was no J then, so it was I-Jesus, right? Which literally means like the son of Zeus, or little Zeus, which Zeus with the trident and everything. And there's a lot of them that go that way. And I know it's like,
Zeus,
but if going on what you said, Truth Seeker, if everything that's changing is being revealed to show what was the lie, if you just follow the meanings, I mean, I know it's an uncomfortable thing, but we've come to the point where everything we've been taught has been a lie. So if they really want us to worship the wrong thing, then that's what they're going to put out there as the right thing.
Even the elect will be deceived,
if possible.
Yeah.
So what you know then is that you know that the majority view is wrong.
That's
right? The path is narrow. So what the majority are seeing is right. That's wrong. That's what we've been taught. So it's been there in the subtext. And for example, I think the person coming is not Jesus, but the Ancient of Days. That's what it says, the Ancient of Days, who is not like the Son of Man, because the Son of Man is led into, the one like the Son of Man is led into the presence of the Ancient of Days. So we know that that's 2 separate entities. I think the Ancient of Days is Enoch. Because if Enoch returned, he never died. If he returned, he would literally be Ancient of Days. It's just a theory on that, but
God, I like it. I'm liking your theory.
But he was also given the title of Metatron, the lesser God, if you remember. And he sat at the right hand of God. Enoch sits at the right hand of God. He was given the title Metatron, the lesser God. So
I didn't know that.
Because when I started studying the Bible, I started studying everything. I wanted to learn how religion really came about. So I started with the Sumerians. I read the Book of Enoch. I tried to do it in a chronological order, not just reading the religious documents, but also the secular to try to make sense of it.
I couldn't do it in a chronological order. Mine
It's
was all
hard.
over the place.
It's hard to find
So
out
it
the chronological order.
Yeah, and all the books that they left out. They left out a
Right.
whole bunch of stuff. I mean,
the Bible is 66 books long, so let's not that's not a coincidence.
Exactly. And any message that we were supposed to get, we're only getting half and part of the message.
Yeah.
So, because I read the book of the Lost Book of Thomas. That's really
I've read it too. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you read jealous, there's always a jealous God in time.
Right.
I was just saying to bits of God he was saying jealous God in the Bible now. In my reality, God was a jealous God. And I always went, why? But
Jesus
the way I was taught that, like in Genesis, where you see God appear and God's a jealous God, was that if you take Genesis and look at Genesis as a book separate from the Bible, because the Bible is actually a library. So if you take Genesis and you look at just Genesis, it's just like a modern day book. At the very beginning, it'll tell you the rules for understanding it and reading it. So at the beginning, it tells you who God is. It tells you what God is like. It tells you what God thinks, what God holds to be of value, right? It tells you who God is. Well, then later it has someone coming in who's saying he's God, but he's not acting in the ways that you were told God acts. Right. So it's to let you understand that that's not actually God, that the enemy will come and will present himself as God, right? That's another sign, like with Jesus, for example, it says that like the man of lawlessness will set his image up in churches and be worshipped as God, right? Whose image is at the beginning of every church? Whose image is there, right? Who is being prayed to, or in whose name are they praying? Like, I mean, I pray to God. Like, I pray to God directly. I don't pray in so-and-so's name. Like, and my prayers get answered.
I pray.
And it was so hard for me to actually say these things because, again, I grew up Baptist, and to actually, it just broke my heart to realize that we've been worshiping, I think, the wrong entity.
But Jesus himself said, don't worship me. God alone is to be worshipped. And yet we've made a whole religion out of Jesus. It's, and so I directly go to God. Not that I'm disrespecting Jesus. If you've seen Jesus come back into my life. Was it a right mess? I'm not saying it didn't matter, and it doesn't, because of course it very much does. But it's my connection to my Creator. That is of paramount importance.
Well, I think even that can be explained. Like who you saw, right, may have been the actual, like the teacher of righteousness. Like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it talks about like the teacher of righteousness. The New Testament is written by Paul. Paul, who was originally Saul, who was a Roman executioner, and he was actually on the road to Damascus to murder some priest. And they actually theorized that Damascus was where the Dead Sea Scrolls are found. That it was actually Qumran, because he had a dictate with him to murder these priests at Damascus. But Damascus, Syria, was not under the rule of the Roman Empire at the time. So anyway, so he's on the road to Damascus. This is about 20 years after the crucifixion, and he sees this vision of Jesus. And then he goes to the settlement of Damascus, and he stays there for 3 years. Then he comes out, and it's not until 20 years later that he actually starts preaching. That's why he was able to go to Rome, because he's actually a Roman citizen. So, and then he killed Jesus's brother. Yeah. You know that, right? Like James the Just, like he murdered him. So anyway, that's who wrote the New Testament. So things are not as, like, people aren't even aware of some of these things.
Did you say Jesus had a brother?
Yeah, James the Just.
Oh, I never knew Jesus had a brother.
Yeah, and that's who he told his disciples to follow after his passing, was James the Just. And by all accounts, secularly speaking, James was regarded as a fairly noble man. But Saul, pushed him down the steps of the temple and murdered him in front of a crowd of people. And he's the one that wrote and they actually say in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's you'll see they talk a lot in the Dead Sea Scrolls about the liar. A lot of scholars theorize that Paul is actually the liar that they're referring to, which is why in the Bible where you see him writing, I'm not lying, that's who's accusing him of lying. The priest at Qumran. So, yeah. So there's a lot of things that people just aren't aware of that was just never really taught because it didn't fit into the ideals of the time. Like, so who you saw may have very well been the teacher of righteousness before that legacy was then perverted into something to use as Roman propaganda, just like was done with every civilization they conquered. Greek and Roman gods.
Well, let's face it, girls, they never actually finished until until Darwin, because the Roman Empire became the Catholic Church, didn't it? When you've got Constantine being Caesar, changed the whole of Rome into Catholicism, actually deciding in the thing of Nicaea what was going to be in the Bible and what was going to be left out. The Roman Empire never actually stopped. They just called it something different. And they did an awful lot of manipulating. They just carried on with their own beliefs, which was the worship of a sun god, and just plonked Christianity over the top of all of that, which is why we're left with what we're left with today. Jesus' birthday on the 25th of December and stuff that have no relevance to Jesus' life whatsoever.
Pagan. That's just to put the pagan holiday at the same time, because Christians were backsliding during Saturnalia and stuff, so they put it there. But I'm still blown away about Jesus having a brother now. Okay, I went to 12 years of Catholic school, and I was never taught that Jesus had a brother. Okay, so
Thomas is also supposedly his brother.
It's just
they theorize that Thomas is the twin, but then in the second treatise of the Great Seth, the non-canonical gospel, it says that for example, at the crucifixion, it says that Jesus wasn't crucified, Simon was crucified, and Jesus was a shapeshifter who stood on watching and laughing at the ignorance of men around him, which actually resonated with me slightly because the scene in the Bible, the scene in the Bible where Judas goes and kisses Jesus' cheek. I was always wondering, why did he have to go and kiss him on the cheek to identify him to the Roman soldiers when Jesus has been causing havoc? That's why he was going to be arrested, because he was causing chaos. So how could they not even know what he looked like?
Right. So
I think that there's some credence in the Bible to Jesus having been a shapeshifter, which it says in the book of Enoch that the fallen angels are shapeshifters. Right. And actually in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it refers to, the Watchers, which are the fallen angels. Yeah. It refers to them as snake-like beings. That's how it describes them. Yeah. So I think it's possible that the fallen angels are shapeshifters, and
Jesus is Zeus, and Zeus is Lucifer. Right.
Well, Lucifer was actually a mistranslation. Lucifer doesn't actually, the name is not actually, it's not actually in the Bible. It was a mistranslation of a priest in a long time ago.
Zeus is the devil, whatever you want to call him. But he's Zeus is.
I say the adversary because I don't know what names to write anymore, because I think they tell us the wrong thing. So I say the adversary.
Okay, so I got that, and I've always known about Jesus being translating to Zeus, which then later I learned about what Zeus really was all about, and even the Statue of Liberty and all these things that we have around us, these idols that we're not supposed to be worshiping, and all this stuff. But nothing's what we've been told. We've never had an original thought in our lives until we all start coming together and talking about this stuff and bouncing ideas off each other. Right. And what I just learned from talking to you, Jesus had a brother? Like what?
Yeah. Well, they say he had many brothers, but James was the one he was closest to. And they actually theorized that Thomas was his twin. So there's some evidence that Jesus may have had a twin, actually, which makes sense with the whole story of Jacob and the hidden prophecy of Bozrah. So I don't know.
What I want to know, Anne, is did you know this before the Bible changes started happening, or is that extra information since the Bible changes started happening?
Did I know what before?
About Jesus's family.
Oh, I knew that before. I knew that before.
Right, because where I come from, the whole thing that really annoyed me was the fact that we didn't know anything about Jesus's family, nothing at all, and we knew nothing of him between.
We knew he had a couple of sisters, and they think one was named Mary. Yeah, he had a couple of sisters, and they think one was named Mary, and then he had a couple of brothers, and the brother that's mentioned the most is James the Just.
He was an only child.
No, not for me. And James the Just was who he told the apostles to look to for guidance after he was gone.
Yeah, it was Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. That was it in my school for 12 years.
Yeah. To be fair, me too. There was no other family. There was no other family. The only other, I mean, obviously there were aunts and there was Mary Magdalene.
And then they try to say
even
that kids of his own, you know, I don't know.
Which he may have because he was a rabbi, you know, and it would have been really unusual for a rabbi not to have a child. So that's possible. I mean, it doesn't really affect the teachings one way or another for me.
Yeah, but as a rabbi, you're also expected to be a married man, aren't you?
Right.
It's like taking as read, and they were married at a very young age back then anyway. It was highly unlikely that he was a 30-year-old single man wandering about. You know, he was more likely, especially as he was a rabbi, that he would be a married man. It's quite, and in fact, you know, it's part of it. You're supposed to have your children, and it's part of the religion.
Right. The only possible.
I mean, I only, obviously, I learned about Mary Magdalene through my interest in having found the Gnostic Bible. And, like, for instance, I don't believe in all of it. Like this, the Gospel of Thomas, that is supposed to be the actual words of Jesus.
Right.
Now, when I read that doesn't sound like the Jesus I know at all. The things that he's coming out with does not sound. It sounds like it was written last week.
Right. It's very current. And actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there was actually, there's actually something in the Dead Sea Scrolls that kind of I think about when I think about the Mandela effect, is that he was sitting there and he was talking to his apostles or the teacher of righteousness, because it doesn't say Jesus, because the teacher of righteousness was talking to, you know, his students, and he was saying that a God that is infinite and all powerful, that would judge a human for all eternity based on something so brief as one lifetime would more properly be called a monster than a savior. And he was talking about the universe. He was talking about his father having, you know, many houses, but it was almost likened to planets, and said that there are some places that are so peaceful and serene, they're properly called heaven, and some places that are so violent and chaotic, they're properly called hell. And so it kind of, to me, it sounded like almost like he was saying, like, Earth is like 6th grade, and there's a 7th grade and an 8th grade and a 9th grade, and you know, like that we're moving through, that we move to where we need to be to learn what we need to learn to go to the next level, that it's like a giant school. And with the Mandela effect, and we appear to be shifting to different Earths, we appear to be, maybe there's something to that. And it was, you know, so I kind of think of that.
That's what we started out with, really, wasn't it? It's like, well, what are we if there's loads of different Earths? And why are we moving into versions of ourselves? It's like, what is that about? It's freaky enough, us being us with the things changing around us. But then you've got to go to levels of, well, what is a human being? We're in a meat suit, but why is there another me? Why is there another Anne? Why is there another Jen? You know, and why are we going from one to the other? And it's the whole, trying to just, we can't help it. God gave us an inquiring brain. So to try and not inquire seems, well, I can't not inquire. I'm still searching every day for an answer. And I think that I'm not looking in the right place, but where is the bloody right place to look for reality not being anything, like Jen said, at all, anything like we were taught?
Well, the Bible says it's a great deception. The Bible says that this reality isn't real. So that's the first place that said it to me, you know, before the Matrix, before all of that. The Bible says
be in the world, but not of it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I had a dream I've had, from being very small, like a toddler, had dreams about the moon getting closer, and then I had dreams about, like, meteorites and all kinds of weird stuff. One of the dreams I had, I was like taken out of my body. So there was no physical me looking at me, and I couldn't see who was talking to me, but I was taken away from the earth, and it was almost as if the person was annoyed with me for not remembering who I am. And I thought I was 29 when I had that dream. In fact, I was 29 and a half to the day that I had that dream, and that stayed with me a long time, that one, because it was, wake up. Why? You're supposed to know now. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose that I was already starting to inquire about my life, about all kinds of weird things like this. That's about that time that I found out about the Sumerians, realised where all of our religion comes from anyway. It stems from there. Everything that we've been taught, everything stems from the Sumerians anyway. It's a repeating story with different names over time. That's another thing I found out. Never mind, put aside everything about Christianity that we know. But it's because of you have to incorporate. So then it makes you think about, I read books like Mankind in Amnesia by Immanuel Velikovsky, whose name's changed in this reality to Ivan Velikovsky, by the way, but that's by the by. And it was about mankind in amnesia, and it was saying that's what set me on my way of looking at different civilizations and where we've been before, and how arrogant we are to think that, one, we are the pinnacle and that nothing's ever been as good as it has been before. And so that got me to the thinking about things like the pyramids. That didn't come out of nowhere. The Mayan pyramids, they are angled towards different stars at different times of the year. That is not a civilization that's just popped up, built a pyramid and looked in the sky. That is hundreds, if not thousands of years worth of information in their heads that they've now transferred. And I think that's what we're like. It's like us having that memory and then passing it on to when we move to the next world, which is exactly what the Mayans said. We're just moving out of the fourth world into the fifth world. We can see that because it's changing every day. They had moved into the fourth world from the third world, and that's the message they were trying to pass on to us, as were the Hopi and other people and other civilizations. They were the ones with the memory. And here we are giving it. Here they are. They built this pyramid, and this is the pinnacle. It's like it's come out of nowhere, but there we are. That's it. That's it. They got this information, but they could never have had it without thousands of years beforehand.
Well, I don't know, because do you remember Do you remember the Emmy? It was an Emmy for me that they found underneath the Great Pyramid. Well, the Great Pyramid moved, right? But now underneath where it is now, they found this lake with this large sarcophagus, and it was a burial chamber to Osiris. But then also in Mexico, underneath the pyramid, they found, and the lake underneath the Great Pyramid was electrified somehow. And then in South America, underneath another pyramid, they found liquid mercury, and in the middle of it was another one of these large sarcophagi underneath it. And my husband actually brought out the point. It's almost like the old gods are returning, like Kek. I think it was Mandela Affected did a video about Kek, the frog god, and then there was a at the I think it was at summer solstice at the in Mexico at the temple of the winged serpent, when it did the solstice where it does the line, the shadow along the stairs so that it looks like a serpent. There was actually a wind, like almost like a little mini tornado, right? At that exact moment. Yeah, there's video of it on YouTube and stuff. So my husband was like, it's almost like it's a return of the old gods.
Like a whirlwind.
Maybe it is for judgment. Yeah, like a whirlwind. Mm-hmm.
And check this out. Pharrell had a song out called Happy, and he would keep saying in the song, I'm happy, I'm happy. Well, if you look up the ancient Egyptian god Happy, you find that there's a whole god called Happy. And I think they are telling us in many ways that they're back. The old ones are back. Like even Obama looking like that carving in Egypt of one of those.
That's right. That's right.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've also thought it was it's not a coincidence that I'm from Sagittarius, like the Sagittarius sign, and there the pyramids always mimicked Orion's belt. And now I'm on Orion.
Now we're in Orion's belt, right?
I don't know what the connection is, but it seems like there is one.
We're in a spur now, and on my Orion arm, they looked exactly like they did on your Sagittarius. Nothing like on this ridiculous spur thing that we're apparently on, but they looked exactly like your Sagittarius arm. Absolutely exactly like that. So it's not a Sagittarius move to Orion, and it's different because it was my pyramid is the same as yours. But look, it changed massively.
As above, so below, right? The Mandela effect, it's a lie. Space and Sagittarius arm, it's all a lie. So of course we shift it, to Orion, which is what was supposedly mirrored, inverted on Earth. So yeah, there's another truth. It's showing you the truth of the matter, that you're not on Sagittarius or Orion, because space is a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Can I just ask you,
thought
girls, because you're both Sagittarians. When you first, sorry, let me get it out. Did you find out quite fast that you'd moved from Sagittarius after 2015, after the first big wave hit everybody? Did you find out quickly after that that you were at Sagittarius, you'd now moved, or did it come part way through the Mandela effect that you moved to Orion from Sagittarius?
It would have
What
been
was
for
the
me
timeline?
spring of 2017, right in there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's around the same time for me. This is when we were all hypothesizing, did we move to another universe kind of thing? Or did we move to the other side of the universe? This is back before Flat Earth, so I was still in space.
And the reason why I'm asking is because I actually visited the Sagittarius, the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way, and it was around about 2017, 2018, round about the same kind of time as you. So I asked that because I noticed in the past that while we're in flux, while we're in the middle of a change, we don't get the same information. Google can't tell us. Sometimes it will come up with a completely different answer to a completely different question, or it'll give you 3 answers to the same thing. So I noticed that was going on, and how would that kind of affect the whole moving from one side of the Milky Way to the other, or in my case, from the Orion arm to the Orion spur.
You started before us.
Yeah, I think.
Because you noticed Mandela effects in the 80s, and I didn't see them until 2016.
Yeah, I did. But it's also the fact that I already knew I was an Orion when I was on Google, and Google was showing me Sagittarius. Like I never asked about Sagittarius. I was asking about where I was, again, because I was just interested in that kind of stuff, So, and there it is.
Maybe you stopped there to pick us up. I don't know. Like, it seems like you were definitely on a journey of some sort, right? I mean, I don't know if space is real. I don't know if, I don't have a clue. I know that we're in a realm. That's the best I can say, because I can't get outside of it to look at it.
Yeah.
So it's a realm. I mean, I really think that it's probably a virtual reality game of some sort, but I don't think the game's the right word, because I don't think that carries the weight of what we're doing. I think that we're doing something that's important and serious. Otherwise, it doesn't counterbalance the pain and suffering that we've been through. You know what I mean? For it to just be a game, you're not going to experience. I don't think. So I don't think it's a game. I think it's an educational process. But I think that it's not real. None of it.
The Mandela effect has actually given us extra information, but from our own reality. Things that we were questioning and wondering, we now have answers to, because the other realities have kind of had extra information that we didn't have. Like, for instance, where I came from.
I'm sorry, don't joke, Benevitum. I actually wondered if we're on the simulation deck of an alien spaceship. I actually wondered that. I was like, I don't know. So for you to say that, I thought maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry, Ashley, I didn't mean to cut you off.
We're on the deck somewhere. That's what I want to know. Are we? And if so, can I come out of this one, please? Because it's shit. That's it. People that say that, we manifest our own reality. To a certain extent, I can understand that, because I can think, oh, I really could do with, and suddenly it happens. I get what I need, kind of thing. That kind of thing happens. But I certainly have not willed this reality to be like this. No, I haven't willed myself into changing the building across the road, or that, in fact, the sign across the road that was in white but is now red. Overnight.
Right.
I haven't done that. It's nothing to do with me. I haven't done that. Why would I do that? Although I was thinking, because I live in the back, it's called a back-to-back, where houses are literally back-to-back to each other, and so I live in the back part of the back-to-back, so I'm not on the front part of the road, I'm on the back part of the road, in the corner, very, very isolated, which normally is a great thing. But when lockdown happens, you don't see another human being. It can be a bit difficult. And I was thinking, oh God, I wonder what it's going to be like out there, you know, because I'm not getting out there and what the changes will be. So it started changing things where I can see them. So I thought, oh, right, well, yeah, there was a couple of big changes directly outside my front window after wondering whether I'd be able to see changes and what it'd look like out there. Very shortly afterwards, they changed in front of a window. It's like, have you done that on purpose?
Like you were open, you were letting the ether know that you were open to seeing a change, like in more within your vision, your peripheral and stuff. And it manifests for you. See, this is what I'm saying. They don't tell us what our reality really is and how we have the ability to manifest. And if you read the book of Thomas, it talks about manifesting and your intention and harnessing it and all this stuff. So all the stuff that they left out of the Bible, the part that, you know, Jesus spoke these words and they're keeping it from us.
Well, and if you break it down to just sort of the science of it, right? Like emotions and thoughts are vibrations within the brain. We know that this world is light held together by vibration. That's what creates matter. So if you're thinking on something, a certain thought or emotion is going to have a certain frequency.
Yep.
So the idea that you would then see or find or bring things of that frequency near you, it makes sense when you look at it like that, because everything is just light.
Energy
held
goes
together by sound.
Yep.
So I think that there's, but I also think that there's, I think that there's a sense of predetermination too, though. Like I think that because I think we all have that sort of like dualistic idea where you have the sense of free will and you also have the sense that things have been predetermined, right? So I think of it almost like, and how do those coexist? I think of it almost like, and I've used this analogy before, but I think it's like you're on a highway and you're driving down the highway and there's certain exits that you're going to have to take, but it's up to you what lane you drive in. And some lanes may have more traffic, some may have more potholes, you know, some may be smoother. Like, I think that it's like that. So I think that we have free will, but the free will is confined. If that makes sense.
By this matrix overlay that they put over us. You know, we are in their matrix system and we're moving through it and we don't know how to use our attention. Our attention goes to, oh gosh, I'm going to be late for work. Look at all this traffic. Oh, another red light. I'm so nervous. I'm going to get in an accident. Next thing you know, somebody rear ends you. This kind of stuff. So they've created this false narrative for us to live in, and that steers the narrative of our thoughts and intentions, and our energy goes, intentions go where energies flow.
Right.
And they keep us distracted and in fear constantly, hence what's happening even right now. That, this is where the intention and the energy is going, is to this nonsense, all around us.
I have a theory about that. My theory is, like I told you, I think that this construct is it's educational in some sort, and I think that if you take the Bible and you say, see, the best lies have some truth, and I think that's what happens. So discernment is learning to pick out the truth amid the lies and understanding it. And I think that so I think when it says that we're children of God, I don't think that or we're created in the image of God, I don't think that it means we have God's face or God's figure. I think that it means that God being a creator, as its ultimate quality, we also have the ability to create, and that goes with your idea of intentions manifesting things. So I think that if you have a creator who has created children, and those children have the ability to create realities or aspects of realities, it would be rather cruel to put them into a larger reality before first teaching them how to use their ability to create good. And so I think that what you see here is us sort of being confined until we learn how to control, on some ways, our ability to create and learn how to
I think
rise above and have like a positive.
See, we're born into it, though. We're born into this reality that's been hijacked by the powers that be that are running the show.
Well, I think they're trying to, I don't think that they have the ability to create. So I think they're trying to hijack our intents and our thoughts in order to create. That's what I was.
That's why they have us working these 9-to-5 jobs, always in survival mode. Now we have to fear the unseen enemy at every turn. Fear each other, fear our pets, fear squirrels. Squirrels have bubonic plague now and stuff.
Right.
So it's always something you have to fear. Don't drink that stream water. It's contaminated, when it's probably the best thing you could probably drink in your life. They've scared people away from drinking anything out of a stream, or it's all toxified and stuff. It's constant fear factor going on. And it's definitely confining us, and it's getting us to give up our own free will.
I think it is. And I think it's also using our ability to create a negative world by keeping us fixated and stuck in negative emotions. But as I move along this sort of spiritual journey, my theory has become that more and more that the adversary is the computer. It's like an AI that, what people would call Lucifer, the devil, that's an AI. And to me, that explains how you can have like these great conspiracies like 9/11, where it's clear that it's all a bunch of crap, really. But where's the whistleblowers, and so I think that it's more like Agent Smith in the Matrix, that the adversary is an AI. And we are in a simulated reality until we learn what we need to learn to move into a greater waking reality.
Well, we're definitely getting close to it, and we're in the end times for sure.
I think so.
End days. It's getting close. We have front row seats, guys, and it's really important to align your intent with your spirit and your soul and with the Creator, and know that there is more beyond this physical realm, and that this is just something that we're here to witness and to experience, and to understand that we choose the light over the dark.
Yeah. And that
I don't know, maybe that's flipped. Maybe we're supposed to choose the dark over the light. I have no idea anymore. I take everything with a grain of skepticism, and I look at that's the only way I can get through this, is to just take everything with a grain of skepticism, and then look and see what resonates. Like, because we've all been gifted something. Like, you talk about the word of God being written on your heart. Well, we've been gifted a conscience, right? So when you do good, you feel good. When you do bad, you feel bad, right? I think that you have to follow your heart, and you have to go with what resonates with you and what encourages you or inspires you to be a better person tomorrow than you were today, whatever body you're in, or whatever universe you're in, or whatever earth you're in, or, I mean.
Well, we live in a duality. You have right, you have wrong, you have dark and light. And like you said, when you're doing something that's good, that's not selfish or any kind of thing like that, it makes you feel good. That vibration frequency resonates with you. And I think we're inherently good on the inside, but maybe we're here to experience, you can't choose light without knowing darkness. If we only know the light, but maybe we come here to see what's going on.
Teaches compassion.
Yes. So we're experiencing all these emotions and all this hurt, pain and hunger and all these things that you can't experience on a spiritual plane, because you don't have that physical body to actually experience it. We're here, we experience it, and we understand in our souls. We can feel it when something is really wrong, or things that are happening.
I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. I was actually talking to my husband. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Okay. So yeah, I think a lot of us, the thing about us being here, and this maybe being a learning program, some sort of a simulation that way, I definitely feel I chose to come here. I don't think it was just some random accident that brought me here. And, I'm just like, I ain't with these people. I came here, and I had my children, and they're here for a reason. Their vibrational frequency and my vibrational frequency is holding something right now in this space that has to be here in order to help maybe myself and my family and others to better understand in some way, especially even being here with you ladies tonight. So I've always felt like I'm not from here. I'm just visiting. I've always had that feeling, and I've always had the feeling ever since I was a little girl that I'm never going to get old. Now, what that really looks like, I don't know. Does that mean I could die tomorrow? Maybe, but I've never had the feeling or the notion that I'm going to grow old and die one day. I just always felt that in my end. It's just.
That's amazing. That's quite an amazing thing to have always thought, Jen,
yeah,
really.
Always thought it, yeah. I've always said I'm never going to get old. I'm not getting old. Like, I just know I'm not getting old. And I don't mean just in the physical of how I look. Although I do take very good care of myself and drink distilled water and know about the poisons in the foods, I've just never seen myself as an elderly person. Like, say my mom's 70 years old. I'm not ever going to be 70. I know I'm not. I don't know what that means. Am I going to be gone, at a certain point in the near future due to this, sick, twisted, narrative that they're running now. Maybe so, and I'm okay with that actually, because I don't want to be a part of this reality that they're narrating.
I really am not. I can say safely for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid to die. Yeah. I'm not particularly keen on the pain, but I'm not afraid to die. Yeah. And I'm not even because I've got a smoker's cough because I'm a smoker and I have been for a long time. And I had a bit of a tickly throat the other day and I thought, oh, come on, Ash, get a grip. There's nothing wrong with you. Especially, because I don't really actually believe in what's going on with the COVID thing anyway. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, for a minute there, it made me stop and think. And I just thought, fuck it. I literally did. Even though I'm sat opposite my granddaughter. Mm-hmm. Because we're not this body. We are not the body that is. I mean, I've always believed that I was inside the body. The body's a vehicle.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's almost like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now we know that the body is just a vehicle, and so if I'm to die, I don't care anymore. In fact, sometimes I'd relish it because it'd mean this shit would be over. Because it's sometimes some just want it to be over now. Thank you. Please just let us know what's going on. I've had enough.
I've said many times, if I pass away, celebrate my life. Please don't mourn my death because I will be happy as hell to get out of here. I just feel like I'm not with these people. I don't know what I'm doing here.
You're like, who are you? I don't even know who you are.
Craziness that's going on, but it's like I don't want no part of this. And I don't fear. I do have a concern about pain and the manners in which I may die, but death itself does not scare me. Once you come to these realizations that nothing is what they've ever told us. What's above our heads? Not what they told us. What's below our feet is not what they told us, and everything in between has been a lie. Clearly, they've lied to us about death, and they've traumatized us into thinking that this is all there is, and that you should fear that, and that's something we shouldn't fear. I feel that very deeply.
Well, there's a doctor that talks about. I can't remember his name. It's the same guy I talked to you last time about that worked on the Human Genome Project and then quit because he said there's not enough genomes in the human body to make up the human body. That he says now that there's really literally nothing inside the body until you cut it open. And he talked about he partnered with another physicist and they talked about death. And they said, for example, if there's nothing to be gained out of that death, then you're not going to have any memory of it. Like if somebody jumps from a high building, for example, before they hit the ground, that they're not there. There's nothing. There's nothing to be gained or learned from that it just doesn't happen. And in terms of pain isn't something to fear because I was hit by a truck. My body's been crushed. I've experienced pain, and you learn to deal with it. Pain, don't fear it. When you're going through it, you go through it.
I have a thing with knives, and I've seen somebody get stabbed right in front of me when I was a little girl. They had their stomach sliced open, and ever since then, it's just if I have to die, I just don't want to be stabbed or stabbed to death. That's just one of those things. But everybody's fear of drowning or whatever. I mean, people, I'm okay with death, but I really would hate to go out that way. But it is what it is. In the end, you're gonna go. You're gonna go.
Right.
Yeah.
But who knows? Are we going to go? I mean, we may not even know. We may have already. There's the theory that we all died, and I can't rule it out because, like I said, I was hit by a truck, and that was in 2012. So I personally can't rule it out. I mean, there's times where I wonder that. But, I mean, if we're just... See, I think what has to happen with these discussions, my theory is that if we're going to get any further in learning anything, then we just have to start speaking what we think without worrying about how it may affect other people. Do you know what I mean? You have to say, well, I've been thinking about this for a while, and this is... the conclusion that I've come to, and maybe you can add to it, or maybe you can tell me something that'll help steer me a different way.
Yeah, but that's exactly what's been happening over these lives. I mean, we learn from each other all the time. And although we cling to each other because we're going through the same thing and we do share a lot of the same anchor memories, it's actually the differences between us that have made us learn. That's what's made us learn. And I'm forever grateful for having you guys in my life because your family, you feel it feels like I've met you all without ever having met you.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that That connection is precious.
Yeah.
We understand each other. I mean, I'm not looking. I mean, at the minute, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm going to have to break it because I've got to get up at 7 with my granddaughter. But I will be doing more of these lives because they feed my soul. You guys feed my soul, and I need that in real time connection with you guys massively. Because I'll come away tonight feeling much calmer. I feel calmer already.
Yeah.
And it's just by talking to people that understand, by bouncing ideas, and you both have given me a new way of looking at things. The pair of you have. Everybody's got their own way of coming to this situation. Thankfully, we're not all doing the same thing, all going down one line, going, this is what it is. We've all got our own different ways of putting out the information, and we've all got our different ways of how we think and what we think's going on. And it's by sharing those things with each other that we have the connection with each other stronger, which matters. And it doesn't mean that we've got any closer to understanding it, but it does put bits of the jigsaw puzzle that we wouldn't even know.
That we're not alone, like I had a hellacious day earlier at Walmart, and it's just coming here and hopping on with you, Ashley, and talking about some of this stuff. I feel so much better after I do these kind of live streams. It's really therapeutic for me to know that there's other people out there. Yeah, you're not my neighbor, or you're not a few blocks away where I can go visit you, but I can visit you on here, and this is where all my friends are. I really literally have no physical friends whatsoever. It's my husband and I and my cat here, and you guys are my family, and I feel so much better and so relieved to talk about this stuff, to be free and open enough to put my ideas out there and bounce them off you guys and see what you think, and learn something new. Like tonight, hey, Jesus has sisters and brothers. I never even knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, Jen, you need to listen to one more. She'll blow your mind. She comes in with gentle stuff and then knocks you up the side of the head with some really strange stuff
I love it.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got rocks that give birth because of Anne. Thank you very much.
And I would love to have you on my show. I have a show called The Ripple Effect, and I would love to have you on sometime.
Okay. I can say I can do that now. I was shy. Like, I've been affected for a long time, but I was really kind of shy, I guess, about doing live streams or videos or anything. But I came on with Ash, and now I'm like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah, you're great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You don't have to show your face. You don't have to show your face, which means that you can feel comfortable
my husband
to say anything.
Supportive of that. Like, he doesn't care if I do these, but he doesn't
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my email in the private chat here on StreamYard.
Okay.
I'll give you my email, and you shoot me an email, and we'll try to set up a date. I don't even know. Are you here in America?
I am. I'm in the Southeast.
Okay, I'm in Alabama, so we're Central Time.
You're in. I have family in Alabama.
Okay, yeah, I'm in Oxford.
No, I'm actually I'm in Georgia. So.
Oh, so you're not far.
No.
So you're on East Coast time.
Have you seen the Stones? Have you visited the Stones, Anne?
Oh, I haven't.
The Georgia guy.
I haven't. I've been near there, but I haven't went to go see them.
Well, if you do, take a spray can and write "piss off" on it, please.
All right, I put my email in the private chat.
Okay.
Oh, all right, girls. Thank you so much. I feel so much better for talking to you.
Right.
And we'll be doing it all again soon, definitely. But I'm going to have to definitely go because my granddaughter is like, she just never stops.
That's
and it's an early start.
Oh, I'm going to mirror this on my channel. I'm going to put this on my channel.
Well, yes. Thank you so much.
I'm going to share this. Yeah, I'll put it up on my main channel and my backup channel.
Thank you so much, because it's just a different angle and different people talking about slightly different things, isn't it?
Well,
and that's what it's about. That's brilliant.
I think that,
I need it.
I think that we haven't figured out the way at all, but we're all connected. We all have something in common that most people don't have, because there's a reason that we're all Mandela affected. And I know a lot of people don't like the name, but it's like I told you before. I mean, Mandela, Nelson Mandela, Nelson means no, Nell means no, sun means sun, man means man or mankind, del means hand, and A as a suffix means not. So it literally means not by the hand of man. So there is something that, you know, a being greater than mankind sees in all of us that's in common. Like we're all connected through a higher power.
This is what I love about you, Anne. The way the way you actually think about things and put things together. I love all that. That's exactly what I love about you, Jen. You really think about what it is that you're saying. You don't just casually fling out some shit that you've thought about just now. You put a lot of thought, and that's what matters. You're actually putting yourself out there. It's not just when you're giving your ideas and you're putting your thoughts together that you've quite clearly spent time over, and then you passing that on matters so much, because it adds to everybody's understanding, everybody's learning, but without you actually putting as much thought into it. And the way you put different bits of information together makes me think about what you're saying on a different level. You make me think about things on a different level. That's what I love about you both. That's basically what I'm trying to say, because you make me think about things kind of a bit left wing, as if I've been hit up the back of the head, and I'll go, oh yeah, never thought of that, never thought of it that way. And that's what I love about both of you. So keep going, girls, because I mean, Anne, you should really do this on your own channel. You definitely should. Without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm not technologically inclined whatsoever.
I'm not at all. So if I can do it, you really can. It's the simplest.
That's what people say, but that's not true, is it? Like, I mean, there's certain things that we all excel in. So no.
I'll get you great.
No.
Don't worry about it. If I can do it, you definitely can do it. I used to think the same thing as Ashley. I was like, oh God, how am I going to ever start this up and start doing this? But StreamYard's really user friendly, and you have a YouTube channel, and that's really all the things that you need.
You now actually are registered with StreamYard anyway, so it'll just be downloading the app and going on. It's that simple, because everything else you've already done. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking to us now. You have to be verified by Google, so that's you're already part way there. So yeah, we're going to bully you into having your own channel and doing live.
Maybe.
So that's
one day.
We'll keep at you. But in the meantime, I know it's good. It's good to have you. You know, your viewpoint. I really enjoy.
Well, thank you for having me on. I enjoyed talking to both of you, and I think that I learned something from each of you, and I learned something from pretty much every person who's Mandela affected that I talked to. I think that we all have a piece of the puzzle, and we all have
the people in the chat as well. I mean, they have been awesome. Some of them, they have really opened my eyes, and
Absolutely.
That's the point. Even if we're only talking on a video that I've popped up, people have given me, all these people here have given me information that have sent me on tangents, that I like. I'm thinking I'm getting lost down here. What on earth, because you know what it's like when somebody gives you a new bit of information. You're on it, aren't you? You're absolutely on that bit of information, and you scrutinize every part of it. And that's what I love about the people that come to my channel. It's in my name. I made the channel, but it's about the interaction with each other that matters, not what I'm talking about on a video. That's the point. On that note, girls, I love you all, whatever reality you're in, and wherever you are in the world, whatever the world is. I love you all, and we'll do it again soon.
All right.
Good night, Ash. Love you. Love you.
Bye bye. Love you all. Bye bye.